Silence is golden. Meditation matters. By Angelo. Chapter 8. Mindfulness. Quote, mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. Close quote. That's by Jon Kabat-Zinn. Mindfulness as a practice has its roots in Buddhism, which dates back 2,500 years. Whilst Buddhism is significantly younger than the Vedic wisdom, there are many similarities, and it's still fairly ancient in today's terms. The word mindfulness is a translation from the Pali term sati, which means to remember, to observe. Individuals who have contributed to the popularity of mindfulness in the West include Thich Nhat Hanh and Jon Kabat-Zinn. Both of these contributors are worthy of quick mention. Thich Nhat Hanh was a Vietnamese Thiền Buddhist monk who was well known for peace activism and was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize in 1967 by Martin Luther King. He was known as the father of mindfulness, and his 1975 book, The Miracle of Mindfulness, is credited with laying the foundations for the subsequent use of the technique in treating mental health conditions through mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy. Jon Kabat-Zinn was a student of Thich Nhat Hanh, who initially discovered Buddhist meditation while studying molecular biology at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. He went on to found the Stress Reduction Clinic at the University of Massachusetts Medical School in 1979 and subsequently developed a structured 8-week course called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction (MBSR). Close brackets. He came to prominence after publishing his 1991 book, Full Catastrophe Living, Using the Wisdom of Your Body and Mind to Face Stress, Pain and Illness. And then even more so following his 1994 book, Wherever You Go, There You Are, Mindfulness Meditation in Everyday Life, which became a national bestseller in the United States. MBSR is now widely available through certified teachers, but also can be accessed and practiced through online research. The actual practice of mindfulness is simple and effective. As we covered in the chapter on conscious awareness, the idea is to disengage from the moment-to-moment activity of the mind and bring our attention to just being consciously aware. In this respect, mindfulness is a bit of a misnomer. Rather than our usual everyday state of being fully in the mind, the discipline is to become mindless. The secular assumption is that mind and conscious awareness are all part of brain activity. Perennial wisdom, however, tells us that mind activity is indeed the product of the brain, but that conscious awareness is a higher vibration of consciousness, which is aware of brain activity, but detached from it. The practice of mindfulness is, therefore, to detach from brain activity, bring the attention to conscious awareness, and hence abide in a higher vibration of consciousness. We become mindful or aware of not being tangled up in the mind. I undertook the 8-week MBSR course some years ago. Interestingly, out of the 6 participants, there were 3 who were seeking relief from chronic pain, 2 who were looking for a stress reduction technique, and 1, myself, who was exploring yet another solution for mental health issues. All of us found some improvement, but concluded that MBSR was not a panacea. As well as explanations and group discussion, the main content of MBSR was 4 distinct yet clearly similar mindfulness practices. The first was to sit with eyes closed and focus on the sensations arising from chewing a raisin. The simple experiences of sweetness, texture, chewing and swallowing are highlighted when we bring our attention to them. Next was a technique called a body scan, which involved lying on the floor with eyes closed and then moving the attention around different parts of the body. This focused attention accentuated conscious awareness of bodily sensations, which are usually overlooked. The third discipline was to focus exclusively on breathing. This was done in a sitting position and could be practiced with eyes closed or open. Simply following the in-breath, the pause, the out-breath, and again the pause was all that was required. The practice was just to be consciously aware of breathing. Again, these sensations are generally ignored in day-to-day life. The final exercise was the practice of mindful walking. This involved walking very slowly, focusing attention on the sensations of the feet touching the ground, the feelings in the body, the movement of the breath, and the sights, sounds and smells of the environment. Obviously, this practice is best done with eyes open in order to avoid mishaps, but we can also take a few steps with eyes closed when safe to do so. These 4 seemingly different practices are really the single discipline of mindfulness, which is basically the deliberate withdrawal of attention away from mind activity in order to abide as conscious awareness. It's not necessary to judge what that mind activity actually is, but rather to just be aware of it. The other important feature of the practice is to bring attention fully into the present moment. Our minds are often busy recalling the past or projecting into the future. We miss the richness of the present moment because our attention is absorbed in the thinking mind. It is a clear and obvious fact that we can only ever live our lives in the present moment, yet we are often lost in a mind-constructed experience that overlooks what's happening right now. Even when we are present, our apparent reality is coloured by past experience or future worries. Mindfulness brings us into the present moment. The experience of time takes place in the mind, but conscious awareness is simply aware of time rather than participating in it. Time is movement, whereas conscious awareness is stillness. Consciousness creates the experience of time, but is not itself subject to time. It is eternal. Consciousness is forever in the eternal moment of now, and time passes in front of it. The eternal moment of now is not a moment in time, but is instead ever present. The wave experiences movement and time, but the ocean remains still and timeless. These mindfulness practices provide the experience of detachment from time, and hence access to the ever-present moment of now. As with self-contemplation, there are 2 ways to engage in mindfulness. The first is to set aside specific time slots in order to practice one or more of the techniques described above. As we practice each day, we become more familiar with the sensation of resting as conscious awareness rather than the usual experience of being fully in the mind. This is the first step in accessing higher vibrations of consciousness, so mindfulness can be seen as an entry-level form of meditation. The second and more powerful way to utilize mindfulness is to try to become increasingly mindful in all daily activities. We might be cooking a meal, washing up, doing the laundry, commuting to work, pursuing leisure pastimes, or basically engaged in any task that occupies the day. The trick is to remember to be mindful rather than just doing things whilst our minds are lost in thought elsewhere. The more we do this, the more we get used to experiencing life from the position of conscious awareness, and hence the more natural it becomes to be consciously aware. It is a self-reinforcing process, but we have to start somewhere. The more we practice paying attention, the easier it becomes, and eventually we find that we are being mindful without having to remember to practice. Mindfulness is today generally perceived to be a secular technique, used as a therapy to address such issues as stress, anxiety, chronic pain, depression, and a range of other conditions. The discipline has been integrated into treatments such as mindfulness-based cognitive therapy and dialectical behaviour therapy. Such treatments are now offered in the UK by the National Health Service, following a 2004 recommendation by the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence. These therapies are also provided by numerous private healthcare organisations worldwide. Therapists go through extensive training and certification in order to become qualified to provide such services. Astonishingly, the global mindfulness-based wellness services market is estimated at a value of over $5 billion in 2025, according to worldwide market reports. The simple practice of conscious awareness has been turned into a multi-billion-dollar industry. The reason that it's taken off so dramatically in recent times is that scientific research now conclusively supports the effectiveness of such techniques. We have a modern-day obsession with scientific proof, which has inadvertently suppressed perennial wisdom until it can be proved by science. I have no issue with the scientific method, but time will eventually show that there is far more truth in ancient perennial wisdom than in modern scientific understanding, however seemingly advanced that understanding may be. I mention all of this because it does add credibility to mindfulness in particular, and to meditation and spiritual practice in general. It also indicates some of the benefits, which will be explored in more detail in a later chapter. The medical profession know that meditation works because there is clear evidence of beneficial results. The spiritual seeker knows that it works because we continue to experience the positive outcomes. The doctors are trying to treat various symptoms experienced by the wave. The suffering may be relieved, but the wave remains on the surface. What we are talking about here is letting go of the identity of being a wave and embracing our true nature as the ocean. These higher states of consciousness offer far more than just relief from uncomfortable mind and body-based symptoms. Despite its modern popularity as a therapeutic tool, and the bizarre fact that it's now a multi-billion-dollar business, the truth is that mindfulness is a simple and easy Buddhist meditation practice that's been around for thousands of years. Mindfulness is, however, just one component of the comprehensive Buddhist Eightfold Path to liberation. The Sanskrit word used in Buddhism and other religions for this state of liberation is nirvana, which means blown out or extinguished. One might reasonably ask what it is that needs to be extinguished. The answer is, of course, the separate body-mind identity that we all believe in so strongly. When the identity as a wave is extinguished, we wake up to our true existence as the ocean of consciousness. We do not need to extinguish the wave itself, but rather it is the flame of belief in being a wave that needs to be blown out. This is the true meaning of nirvana. As with hatha yoga, it's highly improbable that mindfulness on its own will lead us to a full realization and revelation of the true self. It is, however, a useful and effective practice which will take us the first step of the way. It can gradually guide us from perpetual obsession with the personal mind to the more peaceful and detached state of conscious awareness. Mindfulness can be a very helpful addition to an overall integrated meditation practice.